Welcome back to the Multifamily Investing Podcast. This is Charles Dobbins, the founder of the Multifamily Investing Academy and the multifamilyattorney.com. And every week we delve into the good, the bad, the ugly, the comic, the heartbreaking stories of multifamily ownership. They will inspire you to do what you've always dreamt of doing. So sit back and enjoy the best training on multifamily investing on the internet today. Enjoy.
Yeah, that's a great question.
Yeah, that's a great question.
It's a great question.
Great question.
It's a good question.
This is a really good question right here.
It's a great question, by the way.
That's a great question.
That's a really good question.
Yeah, so that's a great question, Charlie.
Great question. You want to...
Yeah, that's a great question.
You know, that's a great question.
Good question.
Great question.
Great question.
Yeah, I get that a lot.
His name is Aaron Chapman. First off, everybody, welcome to the Multifamily Investing Academy podcast. I am Charles Dobbins, the multifamilyattorney.com, and your guest here today, and your host here today, actually. My guest is Aaron Chapman. And Aaron and I actually met Florida, and it was at a conference down in Florida where, and the thing is that what the guys who put this conference on, and maybe Aaron's going to be better than I am with the names and everything. But they put the conference on. They had asked us to do some promo videos beforehand. And I remember watching Aaron's promo video. I'm like, wow, I like this guy. I can't wait to meet this guy. Then we we bump into each other down in Florida. And I'm like, wait, I know you. I saw your video. And that was when you and I met many, many moons ago. Okay, so let's get started. First off, he has asked me to introduce him as the unconventional, conventional finance guy, okay? And that just, I mean, for crying out loud, no disrespect here, Aaron, but you definitely look like you are unconventional, especially when you're.
That's not disrespect. I appreciate that.
Okay, good.
Blend into the finance guys, then I need to change my look.
You absolutely know exactly, because if that were the case, and if you look like all of them, you'd be wearing a suit and tie right now, and right. That does not seem like your thing. So he's a published author with 4 books released and dozens of magazine articles. He says he's very happily married to his wife since 1996. We're going to have to get her opinion on that in a moment. But he's got 4 children. 4 children. Okay, now I got 4 children. I got 4 kids. And he goes on to say that his wife both take great pride in watching their children mature and make calculated decisions about their lives with their parents' coaching. The hindsight education. Oh boy, I bet you. Yeah, folks, listen to this. This is cool. The hindsight education is openly discussed, and both parent and child benefit from the conversation, which has led to a creation of a family business where each member has a say in the family investments and growth of the family assets. I tell you right now, folks, don't try to put the sugarcoating on it for your kids. Tell them the real deal. Tell them the mistakes you made. Tell them, what you would do differently. You can't give your kids a better education than that. But the difference between Aaron and myself is that he likes watching his children mature. My statement would have been, I like watching my children mature from a distance. Here we are COVID. They all came home. They're driving me crazy, Aaron. They're driving me crazy.
They never leave. They come back and bring more, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Yeah. Well, if they would bring more, that might not be okay. I'm at that age. Yeah. Come on. I'm not getting any younger. I mean, make me a grandfather, for crying out loud. Jeez. Oh, kills me.
So what age group are you talking here?
I got 26, 23, 21, and 19.
Okay, so I'm right behind you. I'm looking at 22, 20, 18, and 13.
Yeah. So, I mean,
I don't know about you, but me and my wife have yet to discuss having children. They all just start showing up.
Exactly. Or the other thing, too, is somebody asked me once, which one is my favorite kid? And I didn't realize I was supposed to choose one of my own. I picked the kid down the street because I like that kid. He's a good kid. So
there's one actually. Same thing. I love her to death, so I hired her. Now I'm trying to work out how do I get the pink slip from her dad, because she just
So she can be yours. Yeah, exactly. Oh my God. So tell me about your business. Like what exactly, you wrote these books. You're the conventional finance guy. You help people deal in complicated transactions. Give me a day in the life of Aaron.
So it's a maddening world. So my calendar is booked every 30 minutes. I've got an assistant. What she does, she just sits there and reads my emails and books me every 30 minutes. Now, it hasn't always been that way.
Yeah.
It came in when I got in the industry. I came out of the mines in New Mexico, and then they let me go, and I had to go find a job here in Arizona where my wife and my son was at. I was coming back and forth 10-hour drives, and it was one of those things where I had a really great resume.
Wait, Arizona to Tennessee or Arizona to Missouri? That's like a 10-hour drive?
Then it was Arizona to New Mexico. So
and that's a 10-hour drive.
It was a 10-hour drive to northern New Mexico is where it was at. So I'd be there for 13 shifts, 10-hour shifts, come home for 6 and go back.
Oh, wow.
And before that, I grew up on a cattle ranch. I worked in the oil fields in Wyoming right out of high school. I drove truck. I ran heavy equipment. Worked in the mines. When the mine shut down, I thought, man, I can get a job really easy. I've got a lot of experience. And that was my downfall. I had too damn much experience for everything that was hiring. And they kept telling me you're overqualified. And I remember I even got to the point of applying for a $10 an hour truck driving job just to haul landscape rock. That was it. Real simple, no frills job. And again, same thing, you're overqualified. So what I did was I'm pulling away from that place. I'm literally in tears because I'm like, dude, I was broke. I was dead broke at that time. My wife had a medical condition that took all our savings because they wanted to claim it was pre-existing when it wasn't. So I had to do the battle later. Well, as I'm driving away, my gas light comes on at the same time. So now I'm like, okay, now I got to get fuel. And I have this coupon to get diapers for my son because we're out of diapers and we can't afford them. So I drove up to a gas station right outside of the grocery store, ran my debit card, and I got a decline. So at that point, I had no other form of payment. So
Hold on. Let me just tell you something, Aaron. That has never happened to anyone on my podcasts. Never, ever, ever. I mean, that's such a unique situation, Oh boy, how many times have everybody on this call been in that situation where they think, oh man, I just hope I have a little bit left in my bank account and nothing.
In fact, it was overdrawn at that point. And so I had decided at that point, I just rummaged through my truck, found some change, started walking that parking lot. It took me 2 hours to wander that parking lot to get enough change to get 2 gallons of gas.
Holy shit.
So I had to do something, right?
Well, hold on a second. Let me ask you something, Aaron. You wouldn't ask a stranger for any money, would you?
I didn't.
Yeah.
And I still, I look back on that, there's still something in there that bugs me to be able to have to ask.
Yeah.
So I will crawl on my hands and knees and drag myself with my one good pinky finger to where I need to get. I'll do it on my own. And that sometimes that's we have a hard time asking for help when we should be better at that because we're taking an opportunity away from other people. But in that time, I took that opportunity away and I kept looking for that change. But the blessing came because that 2 hours went by. I got those 2 gallons of gas back when it was, like 89 cents. And then I went into the grocery store, got the corresponding diapers with that coupon. As I'm walking out, I ended up face to face with a guy I used to work with that ran the office at a company that used to dispatch us for digging swimming pools. I was running heavy equipment. He asked me how things were, and I explained my situation. He said he had a gift certificate for Red Lobster, took me and my wife to dinner the next night, and over dinner shared with me the business card for a mortgage broker, and I got started as a telemarketer a week later. And that's how I got into the industry.
That is so cool.
So if you think about that, if I asked for money from somebody and I got money pretty quick,
you would have been gone.
I would have never seen the guy.
That's right.
So, and you also think about that later on, I really gave that thought because, you got to express gratitude for some of the really crazy things that's happened in life. And it's like, if one less person dropped one less coin, I'd have been done faster.
Yeah.
If one person dropped one more coin that I find out have been there just a little bit longer, I may not have seen him. It's just amazing, the little tiny things. So you gotta think that there's somebody else in charge of things, and some of these little blessings come. And it came to the point where I was broken down to the point that I would ask for any help that I could. Yeah. And he made an offer to me that was, nobody wants to be a damn telemarketer. It was miserable. It took me a couple of weeks to build up some clientele, and then I had to go ask the boss to let me work some of those deals. Then they let me do it, and I finally actually got a job back with that same equipment company running heavy equipment. I get up at 3 a.m., go to the yard by 4, work till noon or 1 every day, go to the office at 2 or 3, work till 10 every single night for a year till the rates went below 7%. When the rates got below 7%, one weekend I developed about 8 new clients, and I was able to prayerfully decide to step into this world 100% and let go of the other job. And it was not easy. It took me years. And after years of building it up and really finding the real estate investor in 2003, coming back from a motorcycle accident where it took my legs from me. Well, I have them back, but I was put in a wheelchair, all that kind of stuff. In August 8th, 2008, I just celebrated my 12 years from that. I came back to a business that was changed in 2009. Had to get my feet underneath me and working with the turnkey real estate investor, but coming into Arizona and then going to Indiana and then Texas, then Missouri, Tennessee. And from there, I developed this ability to just expand a brand that was different than anybody else. So when you say unconventional, conventional lender, that was not dubbed by me. That was other people dubbed me that because one, my look, my approach, how I did things. Yeah. And now a staff of 25, I'm hiring my 26th person. I'm doing over 120 transactions a month.
Okay, first I got 2 questions for you. First up, let's go back just for a moment. When you said that you after that weekend, when you had about 8 transactions that you were working on that you could close, just for those of us that don't know exactly how a mortgage broker gets paid, how much money does that represent to a guy like you? 8 transactions.
All those closed, it'd been somewhere right around right around $4,000.
$4,000. Okay, which is you got to work pretty hard driving a truck to make that kind of money.
Oh yeah, I mean you can make it, but I mean it's driving a truck and you're gone from the house all the time and that kind of thing. So
and you're trading your time for money.
Is replacing my income is what that was doing. Now that's if all of them closed. Now doesn't mean they all closed. I just brought those transactions on. That first year in the mortgage industry, I closed. I made about $55,000. The second full-time year, I made about $55,000.
Okay.
And I was working my guts out to get there. And I remember that first full year. Yeah, I remember going into December, it was the dead time, right? There's no business coming in. I had nothing in the pipeline. And every time you start a deal, it takes you 30 days to get paid on it. And they have to close. You're working on it and you don't get paid unless they close. And I remember going in on Christmas Day to meet with a guy and his son that lived together. They wanted to do a refi, and that was going to be my only closing in January. So I willingly went in Christmas morning, left my family to go meet with these guys. And in January, I remember closing docs for a title. I hadn't received them back from the title company. So I called up the escrow officer. I'm like, hey, where's the closing docs? They went in to sign today. She goes, and who are you again? And I gave her my name. She goes, they signed a different set of docs. I'm like, they did what? And so I called him up. I'm like, dude, what the hell? I mean, I had your docs there. You didn't tell me you weren't signing ours. He goes, well, I was going to go with the best deal. I'm like, isn't the best deal the guy who's willing to show up on Christmas morning? He goes, that's the nature of the business. And he hung up on me. And it turned out he accepted the loan rate was different by 0.125%. So this guy was willing to gut me. I mean, it basically took my only income for January and took time away from my family for 0.125%. So then I realized at that point, it's like, nobody gives a damn about you. They don't care about you. You got to care about you. You got to decide what's more important. What would have been more important was to stay with my family. Is what would have been more important.
Yeah. I know. Boy, I have those stories too. I remember those, when you're so back up against it, you do things like that. And then in hindsight, you looked at it and you think, geez, my time was better spent just being with my family.
Yep.
But you didn't know at the time because you're thinking, I got to put food on their table, and you know what? They still ate in January. They still ate,
by the grace of having family around me, parents and whatever helped us out. We tried to save as much as we could at that time. So we did have a little bit to continue to exist off of, but man, life was not easy those first, 6-8 years in the business, probably 3-4 years in the business. Then it started to get better. And then, crash happened. And then I got in a motorcycle accident and you crawl out of these messes. And I had to start over again in 2015. Had a business partner decide to yank everything away from me and run. And
my gosh, Aaron, I got a lot of the same stuff in my past.
So none of this is new stories. None of these is what it is. It's a reaffirmation that people on this call are some of them are going through some shit right now. COVID has created that. There's people that are hurting. Guys, it is temporary. Yeah. This is basically this is gonna tell you whether or not your balls are attached or they're there for decoration.
Yeah.
Really what this time is. It's a sifting time. Every time it's a sifting time. And you realize you are tougher than you think you are when you come out of it. You look back and you're like, that ass whooping was the best thing that's ever happened to me.
You know, I have this thing. I've been through it. I've been through, you know, the toughest of times, you know, where I was wondering where the heck am I going to get the food to put on my family's table. And times I had my back so up against it, and I mean years ago, and I'm doing great. I'm made it. I feel so incredibly successful where I am. And then my best friend, you know, last year committed suicide. He got picked up for his third DWI, and he put a gun to his head and said, "I'm not doing this," and he killed himself. And I tell you, there are days when I'm driving down the street thinking to myself, damn you, John, we were supposed to grow old together. We were supposed to be buddies, right? You know, right to the very end. And you took that way out. Had you just pushed through, like most everyone else has, you'd be okay now. You would have made it. You would have got through. But at the time, it just seems like it's the only option. It's the only way out. Ah, it's so sad.
It is very sad, you know, and it's one day. I mean, come on, and I get it, guys. When you're facing a really, really, really tough situation, you're up against that wall, and you're feeling like the whole world's crashing in on you. Yep. Give it a damn day. Tomorrow's always brighter. It always happens. You find that extra little something to move you forward, and I feel it's mentally and it's emotionally painful to hear when people make that decision. Yeah. And because I've been in some really, really bad spots.
Yeah.
Some really tough spots, and a lot of them are self-imposed, which is really, when I look back on it, it's like, man, a lot of those tough spots that I remember that were really, really the toughest ones to crawl out of is the ones that I created.
Yeah.
Easier to crawl out of the circumstances you couldn't do anything about, but just keep pushing forward. Like, I love what you put in your background there. The 97% who quit are employed by the 3% who never gave up.
Yeah. That's it. That's the key.
Yeah. It's just that beating that you're taking at that moment is, remember, there's like 100 other people taking the exact same beating. It's just who's going to come out the other side. Right.
And the thing is, we all, even the most successful people are the ones with the greatest failure stories. You cannot achieve success without failure. I think Steve Harvey was the one that said, you know, there is no way you can have more successes than failures. You just can't do it. You have to go through those bad times in order to get to the end. I mean, everyone loves telling the success stories. Nobody likes talking about the failures.
Hey everyone, this is Charles Dobbins, and I want to let you in on a little secret. Now, did you know that you can take control of your retirement savings and let it grow tax deferred, and in some cases even tax free? And that same tax free savings for your retirement, you can have checkbook control over. So don't listen to what Wall Street's talking about. Don't listen to these experts, and because they can gouge you with fees like you can't imagine. I'm not kidding you. You think your return is doing well, but then you take out those fees and get your net return. It's a different story. So let me tell you what I do. Now, I'm about to introduce you to a company, the same company that I use, that only charges $175 fee per year. I'm not kidding you. And talk about responsiveness. If I ever need a question answered, I just pick up the phone, I email them. They are back to me in a second. It's absolutely fantastic. And here's what you're going to do. Just type in multifamilyinvestingacademy.com/take control and take control of your retirement savings. Don't let Wall Street keep nipping away with their fees and you losing control of your money. Take control now. multifamilyinvestingacademy.com/take control. You'll meet my buddy, attorney Tim Berry, who handles all of my administration for my 401k. He's fantastic. I can't say enough great things about the guy. The videos that he puts out, if I have a question, I just go on his website and he's already shot a video about exactly the point that I'm looking for. So do it now. multifamilyinvestingacademy.com/take control and take control of your retirement savings. You'll be glad you did.
There's no great campfire story about sitting on your ass, eating Cheetos, and watching the game. It's just not the best stories are the ass whoopings, and then the success that comes from the ass whooping. Yeah. There's no great success. Somebody said, I woke up one day and there's 10 million in my bank account and I'm kicking ass. I'm like, no,
exactly.
You're not doing anything. There's no story in that.
Yeah.
Give me a story. Tell me where you took that beating. In fact, I've got a YouTube channel that we just launched called the Quit Jerking Off Initiative. And, and basically, in fact, I'm going to just grab my books and.
I got to write this one down. The quit
Jerking Off Initiative.
Oh, I love it.
So it's basically because of this book here. Quit jerking off.
Look at you. That's awesome.
So,
That is so cool.
that cabin in the background, that's the inside of it. You know, I'm dressed in my preacher suit.
Yeah, it looks like a church.
Actually, this cabin was a church, and I was
was,
in my living quarters. But so the reason I have that is we're bringing people on, and we have to have you on someday.
Yeah.
To where come into Arizona or into Missouri, either one. You go into Arizona,
Missouri, because my brother lives in Missouri.
Awesome. We'll go bow fishing at night. Get around the campfire that night. And we talk about what was.
Hold on. Bow fishing?
Bow fishing.
Like.
Yep. You climb on top. You climb it. You basically, I had this boat that has a deck on it. It's a tracker boat. You step on the deck. You've got your bow, and you're shooting fish.
Oh, that's wild. Oh, that's so cool.
It's an absolute kick in the ass, man. It's a real good, and you do it at night. We do it during the day, but at night it's awesome because we got the lights underneath you on the deck, lighting up the water. And so it's a great time. Then at night, what we do is after a day of having a good time with somebody and spending some time in an environment you're unfamiliar with, learning a new skill, then we can sit around the campfire and have those conversations about everything we're talking about here. The best, worst thing that's ever happened to you, meaning the worst thing that could have ever happened that ended up being the best thing in your life that has propelled you further than anything else.
Okay, let me tell you something. And this is I love this, what we're talking about right now, because I've got like people tell me things about what's going on in my industry, my multifamily education. And right now, the SEC is going to be coming down hard on a lot of multifamily gurus who have been doing it wrong over the last year or so. And these people have no idea what type of hell they're about to get into. And the reason why I say that is because 10 years ago, it happened to me. And I was the one that got sued by the SEC. And I can tell you right now, I could not be in the position I am right now if I hadn't gone through that. You have to go through that fire in order to get out on the other side. And so I feel so badly for these people because everything that's going to happen to them is so incredibly illogical. It doesn't make any sense, but that's our government and that's what they're going to have to deal with. And it's going to hurt like hell. But,
what's crazy about that, and the intention behind the government and the SEC and the people is trying to keep people from getting taken advantage of. And what really boils down to is they're the ones taking advantage of everybody. They're just like, hey, you're not going to take advantage of anybody that we can't take advantage of. So we're going to come in and we're going to get it. It's like, when is it that I can go off for days about this. It's so frustrating that our federal government has decided that we're their prey.
Yeah.
What about the people that are trying to prey upon our country that you're allowing to prey upon our country and then telling us to shut up about it? Why is it you're not keeping the predators away from us? We'll keep you employed. We've proven that.
Yeah. No kidding.
We've kept them employed, but damn it if that's not enough.
I tell you, I'm about to sign an offer on a plot of land here in my town. And I've been working with a particular real estate developer who is helping me through the development. I'm not buying an existing asset. I'm actually going to develop apartment complex on this property. And that's a new thing for me. So I'm working with one of the biggest real estate developers in New Hampshire who's a friend. And he's taking me through this step, and he's going through it. You're gonna love this, Aaron. He's going through it. Then you're gonna do this, and then you're gonna do this, and then it's gonna cost you this, and then it cost you this. And then he looks at me and goes, "It's just blood money." And I go, "What do you mean?" He goes, "Well, the government needs their blood, and that's really all this is. It means nothing other than this is how the government gets their blood money." And it just, when he said that, it hit me like he's absolutely right. Why I'm paying this is no real reason or brings any value to anyone else. It's just the government getting their blood money because they can.
Because they have gotten so damn big with so many departments and so many people that need to get paid. Let's think about this for a second. And we talk about the producers of the country, right? So you got the people that actually produce revenue. And then you've got the people that are living on, some sort of subsidy. Now I get that there's reasons for it. We as a as a society have decided, listen, there's certain people that are going to need help. And we as a society, we should help them, right? But to be commanded that you absolutely need to help these people regardless, and we have these programs that they can take advantage of. So we got a certain percentage of the population on that. Then what percentage of the population works within the governments, whether it be a municipal, whether it be state, whether it be federal? So when you look at that, look at how small the percentage of the people actually generating the revenue for all the others.
I know. You're absolutely right.
Absolute insanity. And then when you get down to I can't remember where I heard it. It's a podcast somewhere where they talked about different states and how they make their money, right? So, like, let's just take Ohio, for instance, or Michigan. They have to produce something for that the rest of the world want for them to bring money into that state. And because of regulations, because of what's gone out and into other countries, now you see what's happened to Detroit. Well, you see what's happened to Cleveland. What's happened to these cities that have been just decimated because moving these jobs out. But look at DC itself. You've got ridiculous amount of building going on out there. If you ever walked there, the crazy stuff that's happening in DC, the amount of wealth, how do they get paid? By gunpoint.
Yeah. Okay. When you look at those places that going through a recession are recession proof, you have to ask yourself how and government recession proof. I remember, let me tell you, I went to Ireland for a week back in about 2010, 2011. Now, you remember what our industry was like back in 2010, 2011. We were struggling. I mean, I was borrowing from Peter to pay Paul so I can go on this trip with my college roommate and all his neighbors. He's a lobbyist in Washington, and all these other guys work right down there within the Beltway. And we go to Ireland, and these guys are fat, dumb, and happy, spending money like it's no big deal because they don't know the rest of the country is hurting. I'm hurting. And these guys, hey, yeah, well, I got my job. Who cares? I'm getting paid. It was amazing to see that for the first time, that these guys are just, they're recession proof. It hurts. Yeah. Yeah,
it's definitely an amazing structure that we have here that I don't understand it. I don't know what's going to take for it to come up to it. And we're on a runaway train. It's going to derail someplace. The only thing I would love to know is where that is, so I can set up my chair and bring my popcorn and a beer, and I'm going to watch that sucker go to pieces.
Okay, so here's my take on it, because I did a whole webinar on Big Shifts Ahead. It's a book called Big Shifts Ahead. Phenomenal book. Every real estate investor should read it.
I've heard of it. I haven't read it yet, though. I think I have.
You got to get it. You got to get it. You watch my webinar. It's like a mini school on it. It's phenomenal. Here's the thing, is that the generation that was born in 2000, the decade from 2000 to 2010, the chickens are coming home to roost for them. They're the ones who are picking up the tab on all of this profligate spending that's going on by the government right now. And they're not old enough yet to realize it. And it's going to hit them. And it's going to hit them hard. And it's going to be the situation where people my age are like, hey, I want my Social Security. I've been putting in all this year. And they're going to, so basically what happened is when Social Security was started back in the 50s, 16.1 workers for every retiree. The generation that was born in 2000 to 2010, when they hit their biggest earning powers, 2 of them will support 1 retiree. From 16 down to 2. And those 2 guys are going to sit across the, where you're sitting in your chair, looking at each other like, why the hell am I covering that person? There's no reason why I should cover that person's retirement.
And there's no reason they would have left the damn money in Social Security instead of putting it into the general fund to begin with.
Oh yeah, but hey, it's our money. We'll just use it.
And we can put it back and we can grow it. Those bastards have never grown anything in their damn life.
No, exactly.
Yeah, that's the thing about it. If we give people to run a business, which would be a national business that's never run business before.
No, exactly. Yeah, it is. It would be out of business. So, okay, listen, I got a limited amount of time here, but I want to find out when somebody contacts you, and you can talk to anybody all across the country, right? So
pretty much. I mean, I have a license in 26 states, but outside of that, I talk to everybody all over the world. I got people buying investment real estate in the South, in the Midwest, from all over the globe.
Okay, so when somebody calls you up, I mean, the whole point is that you are the unconventional, conventional guy. So if somebody's got a problem, I mean, you're not like just a hard money guy. You're not I'm sure you do some of that too, but
I'm just a strict Fannie Freddie kind of guy. I'm like, you can walk into Wells Fargo, Chase, Bank of America, and get the same kind of loans I got. The difference is they don't understand the real estate investor. They don't understand the motivation.
This is it. Talk to me about that.
They're literally, for some reason, the banking world is very afraid of the real estate investor. They believe that's very high risk, as evidenced by the fact they'll give a first-time home buyer a 2.5 rate. They'll give an investor a 4.125.
Yeah.
Well, the first-time home buyer has proven to be the most unreliable place to put money ever since home buying.
That's our government, though. That's our government.
We've got, our company does a lot of first-time home buyer stuff. And I had an opportunity. I was getting audited, right? Because they just do that when you're doing a bunch of investment. I'll do about 1,200 transactions this year. At the time that they did this audit, I was doing 300 to 400 a year. When they did that audit, I asked the president of the company, because we had to have a meeting about it. I said, so let me ask you some stats. What would you say is the percentage of delinquency, not default, just delinquency on first-time homebuyer loans within the company? He goes, that's pretty high. It's probably double-digit percentage. So I said, so it's safe to say 10, 11%. He goes, sure. I go, so what is the percentage of delinquency on my loans? He goes, I got to look. Well, I've recently got those stats, right? And I've looked at, they've done, I think they have nearly, I'm going off of memory here, so don't quote me. I think it's about 1,800 loans that we've kept in service within the company that are mine. There's a bunch that have gone out to other aggregators, but about 1,800. Of those 1,800, when I looked at the stats, not counting people that went into forbearance for job loss, but the people that were just truly had a delinquency, one.
Wow.
Of them had delinquency, and of the forbearance, there's only like 42 of them with forbearance. But when you looked at the statistically speaking with respect to first-time homebuyers, huge delinquency rates.
Yeah.
Forbearance rates. Because what they're looking at is when the government comes out, it's like, hey, I may still have my job, but they said I cannot make a payment. I'm just going to go ahead and not do that. Investors don't do that.
Yeah.
I've got to preserve my credit. I've got to. They will move out of their house before they go late on an investment property within a month, because it's generating revenue. And the other part of it is they understand that when you're getting a 30-year fixed loan, because we live in such an inflationary environment, they're not even paying back the principal. They're literally. I mean, and I've got a graph to show this. In fact, I'm just going to share a screen. I don't know if I can.
Can you do it? You got it? Or do I need to give it to you?
Let me see if I'm blocked. I'm blocked. So you're going to have to make me co-host.
Make co-host. You're on.
Right on. So I'm going to share this with this. I was theorizing about this on a podcast one time. And the professor of accounting at Kennesaw State University called me and said, "You got to come speak to my students." Well, then they created this basically this table for me, so I can do this math. So when you're talking about our inflationary environment, and I don't know if you're familiar with John Williams' shadow stats, but they're claiming our 7+, about 7.5%, 7.6. So I factor inflation at 7 because the PCE and the CPI does not count in food costs, energy costs, or parts of housing. Well, the MEAT index alone is going up 18% year over year. Just when you think about what our cost of living is. So the 3 of the 4 main things a person needs to live, food, water, shelter, and air. California is the only place that's figured out how to tax air. So when you factor through food, water, shelter, and the Fed does not factor that into their equation when it comes to inflation, we got to factor it ourselves. So John Williams does that for us. Go to shadowstats.com. It's pretty awesome when you look at their alternate data. So if an investor buys, let's just say $100,000 single family, putting 20% down, that means they're financing 80%. Now, our interest rates right now are in the low 4s. We're getting for people sometimes high 3s for 20% down. But I'm just going to run this at 4.5, higher than the norm right now, because it's going to go back up. So at 4.5, that person's only going to pay $405.35 a month for that 30 years. But because of inflation, the dollar is losing value, correct? The buying power continues to shrink. Well, even though you're going to pay $80,000 in principal and $65,925 in interest for a total of $145,925 over 30 years, you got to figure out that you're over that 30 years, the instrument you're paying them back with is losing value. So when you recalculate every dollar as it leaves your hands to make a payment for 30 years, you're not paying $80,000 principal. You're not paying $65,925 in interest. So you're definitely not paying the $145,925. The actual value of those dollars is $60,926.91. So I always tell everybody, you leverage high, you leverage long, and you pay off slow.
Okay. So can you give that a little bit more slower in layman's terms? So I think I'm paying the principal and the interest of $145,000, almost $146,000.
Correct.
But explain to me the inflation adjusted payment amount and why it's only 60 and how that works.
Well, so every year that you're making every month the dollar's losing its value, right? So if it's 7%, it's just a little over 2% per month. Actually, no, 0.5% per month, just a little over 0.5%. Between
But the use of your dollars, the dollar today is going to be worth less than $1 30 years from now, or something like that.
Let me just do something here. I'm going to share a different screen, and we're going to go to Shadow Stats directly, and I can show this a little bit better.
Okay, because I actually wrote down Shadow Stats as something I need to go back and review.
So here's Shadow Stats, and I'll log in. Oh boy. So I'll log into it, and I'll show you.
John Williams.
Here's their inflation calculators. So when we're looking at the numbers that the Fed, so we're going to go back 30 years. So 30 years ago is 1980, right?
30 years. Okay.
No, 1990. Damn, time has gone by.
I know. Does that kill you?
Really? Holy crap. So 1990 to 2000. So $100 in 1990. It would take $1,193 today to buy what we bought in 1990.
Okay, that's really cool. Just because I graduated college in 1986, and like right before I graduated, my dad sent me a $100 bill, and I picked it up in the mailbox, and I was walking across campus with a $100 bill in my pocket, and I thought I was the richest guy in town. And now we know why.
Yeah,
it was $1,200 my dad sent me.
That would have been you sending your kid $1,526.
Exactly, Dad. Love you, man. Love you.
Exactly. That's a big deal. $100 back then. I remember my mom handed me $1 in the 80s, getting on my skateboard, going down to the corner store, buying a gallon of milk, picking up a treat for myself, and coming back with coins in my hand to give her change.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I worked at McDonald's back when you could buy a hamburgers, French fries, and a small drink for 95 cents.
Oh, yeah. Remember Taco Bell for 99 cents? You can get 2 tacos and 2 burritos and a drink. You know, that was like 93, 94. And I remember that because I was in Moses Lake, Washington at the time, standing there like, wow, I can't believe it's that cheap.
Yeah.
And now, $5, you're lucky, right? If you're able to get what you need. So taking a look at that, so you can see over 30 years, what happens to your dollar. Literally, you know, let's just take it to a $405 payment like we're talking about. And let's go back to 90 so we can get that 30 years. So you can see the difference. In fact, I'm going to have to flip this around from 2000 to 2020 to 1990 here so we can see the effect better. So I can illustrate a little bit better here.
This will be helpful.
And this will illustrate why that $405 a month payment today is equal to $33.90.
There we go. Okay, Aaron. This answers my question. This answers what I asked you about. Wow.
So that's the value of the dollar. Today, you're paying $405 a month in that because that's today's dollar value. But because the dollar is losing so much over time, in reality, the value of that dollar 30 years from now at today's trajectory is $33.90.
So what you're saying is don't pay off the mortgage.
I guarantee a latte will cost more later on at that time.
Yeah. Interesting.
So then here we'll go into these their inflation numbers here. This is the graphs that they go over. So you can see the difference between what the Fed says. This is the red numbers. The red line here is the Fed's claim of our inflation, sub 1%, which we know is complete BS. We get into the shadow stats based inflation where they add things back in. So you can see the Fed started taking things out and started changing to more durable goods that people don't buy very often. So you see the gap. That's where we're over 7%. We're gone up a little bit. So we're pushing probably closer to 9% inflation.
Wow. They just changed the definition.
That's all they did.
Yeah.
You know, so again, get back to food costs, energy costs, parts of housing that they don't factor into their, and what's really crazy, they call it the consumer price index, or their other favorite measure of inflation is the personal consumption expenditures index. That would lead you to believe that they are tracking what we spend money on. They're the 2 most labeled damn things I've ever seen in my existence.
Yeah, mislabeled. Yeah. Folks, it's kind of like when you go buy a new, I bought, finally, after like 20 years, I bought a new set of irons, okay? And they said, you are going to hit these clubs further than you have your other clubs. Like, oh, that'd be great. I get out there, and my old clubs, my 7-iron, 150 yards on the money. I get up there now with my 8-iron, and now I hit the 8-iron 150, okay? Do you think I'm any stronger or any thing happened with me? No. Some golf teacher said this. You know what they did is they changed the loft on the 7 and the 8. So now the 8 is what used to be the 7. That's why you're able to get that same distance. They mislabeled it. They totally changed it just to make you think that you were getting something different. And that's exactly what's going on here. It's so typical of the government. Just change. I mean, it also has to do with unemployment. Unemployment, they've changed the definition as well. They always fool around with the definition of unemployment. And, make you think, oh, it's not as bad as we thought. But yeah, well, we're not adding this in anymore. We're not, it's amazing. So, oh gosh, Aaron, hey folks, I bet you didn't expect this type of conversation from a guy that, sitting out the woods with a steel hat on. Did you? Look at him. He is the most unconventional guy around. So, and I tell you, John, Aaron, it's this is such great stuff. I want to have you back. I want to get deeper into this because this is really good. I love this stuff. This is absolutely fascinating to me.
Excited. I get jumping up and down, spitting in the face of people because it's just they don't understand exactly what a gift it is to have a 30-year fixed mortgage. In reality, a 30-year fixed mortgage is for the real estate investor buying those first 10, the single family, duplex, triplex, fourplex that we work with. They unfortunately think of it like they're spending money and going into debt, and they don't realize that, dude, look at this here. The reason you get all these people telling you pay off your mortgage early or take your cash flows and pay it off or refinance now is because that's how they get paid. That's how they make the revenue, not by you stretching it out over time. Now, if you're going to refi and pull cash back out, do it, but ride that damn thing as long as you can. That's Aesop's fable, tortoise and the hare winning again. That the long-term deal wins. I know that Einstein said that compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world, but Einstein did not have a long-term instrument in an inflationary environment to counteract it. Okay, Aaron, I have to correct you on something. I'm actually obviously a little bit more knowledgeable about this than you are. Okay, right. Okay. Einstein never said that. Okay. I've actually done research on this because I was using it. I was using it in a presentation where I said Einstein said that the compound interest is the most powerful thing that he's ever known, or whatever the quote was. And I was trying to say that the power of the cap rate in multifamily investing, that's the most powerful tool in growing wealth. And then I thought, I really want, why would Einstein say that? So I went back and I did some research. And do you know who really said that Einstein said that took off? Who said that? Johnny Carson in one of his monologues. Because he says the most powerful thing is compound interest. Yeah, we've seen how it has decimated neighborhoods. And he was talking about back in the 1980s when inflation was double digits and was going crazy. So he used Einstein in that example. And that's where it comes up. That's where I found it, because I used that same quote that you did. And I thought, Johnny Carson said that Einstein said. Exactly. That's what it was. That's all it was. Yep. Well, that's exactly what it is. That our ideas, what we say, what we do carries the way that it does. So we've got to be cautious of what we say. And I appreciate the fact that you gave me the background on that. Yeah. But it brings us to another lesson in life that you've got to have your head right all the time, because it's amazing, especially your children, what they're going to take from you and what they're going to do with their life going forward. The reason I wear the hat, and it kind of goes right back to that, is, as far as I'm concerned, the chainsaw is the coolest, most powerful, most amazing tool ever created, right? You can do these cabins, right? I cleared all the area because it's full of trees when I bought the place. You can chase people around Crystal Lake. You can carve a swan out of ice with it. But it's also the most dangerous tool ever created. You hold it for a second wrong, it'll kill you. Oh, yeah. So I put it on my head because it reminds me it sits on top of the most amazing, most powerful, and most creative tool ever known to man, which is the human mind, which is also the most dangerous instrument. The most dangerous. So cool. Yep. Misusing our mind. That's awesome. Hey, Aaron, how do we get a hold of you? AaronBChapman.com. Aaron B, AA1B, Chapman.com. For if you're looking for the conventional finance guy. Aaron, we're getting back together. I could sit here and talk to you for a long time. And listen, if I am you want me on your podcast, you want me to show, and I'll come down to Missouri. I will fly my plane down there to Missouri and hang out with you. That'll be a blast. Right on.
Yeah, yeah. And
So we're gonna be there. In fact, I'm gonna be putting something together in the next probably in September, late September, early October. So
yeah, October will be better because I got my big change in my business coming out. And so folks listening, you just met Aaron Chapman, one of the greatest Democrats in the history of the world. And you can
exactly, I wave the flag, man.
Okay. Aaron, thanks so much.
I'm gonna ride my donkey right into the set of our show.
Yeah, sure you will. Okay. All right, Aaron. Great to see you, man. And I look forward to talking with you soon.
You've reached the end of another episode of the best multifamily investing podcast ever. For free resources and materials, head on over to www.multifamilyinvestingacademy.com. And if you love the Multifamily Investing Academy podcast, I'd love for you to subscribe, rate us, and give us a review on iTunes. And until next time, this is Charles Dobbins, the multifamily attorney, signing off.